late.
The point of 6:03 is that we're already late. We can't be late to the late time. Oops.
Hello, everybody.
Ugh.
Welcome back. Chelsea App says, no, they're late. I'm sorry. I failed you all.
It wasn't just you. It was both of us. I was downstairs.
I couldn't decide what kind of drink I wanted, so I ended up getting a Lager Libre from Wild Heaven, which is what we got to drink on the Super Bowl.
Those are really good.
Crazy.
We're still adjusting to filming the Q&A with the new setup, and then we finish that, and then we have to transform the whole set. Mm-hmm. And then Molly went to finish editing a completely different video, our Dark Disciple look back, which I think is going to come out tomorrow.
Oh, our little logo thing is being blocked. Hold on. Not that
it's not the end of the world. You know, our logo is on the
I know.
the website. It's all over the place.
I don't know where to move it because there's a delay.
Here, give it to me.
Perfect. That looks precarious up there. I'll just take it down. Anyways, hello everybody. What's up? We've got Scotty Heron, Jeannie from Tahini, our channel members in the house, Jane Dalton, Gio Flores. Hello, 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 hello.
I'm on step 1138.
Nice. When I was editing the Dark Disciple video, I had zoomed in on one of the clips, and I kept having to change it to the zoomed in coordinates or whatever, and it was 1139. Oh. And I was like, dang it. I should have just changed it from the beginning.
I've got to install something over here. I got to be in your business.
Jill has been texting me about Love is Blind, which I've been thoroughly enjoying.
Oh yeah, we started that last night.
The new season of Love is Blind is out if you watch or celebrate that show at all. It started yesterday. We got, 4 episodes into it?
Yes.
And had one too many drinks.
Exactly one too many, I think. We
looked
at each other after episode 3 and we were like, we should go to bed. Or we could watch one more.
Yeah. That show is kind of hit or miss. Like, last season of Love is Blind was trash. It was terrible. This season is pretty good so far. I'm digging this season a lot more.
It's at least given me a couple to root for. I had no one in season 5.
Yeah. Let's see.
We're going to actually start, I think, putting panels on the top of this today.
I was just about to ask how far along we are in this build.
I think we're 75% of the way through, because I'm just about to finish the 3rd out of 4 books.
All right. Oh, I forgot to tweet that we were live. That's okay. Jill says, for now anyways. Yeah, it's good for now. Oh yeah, Jose in the chat says Pedro Pascal is now Reed Richard. Any thoughts on that announcement?
I'm more excited for Eben Moss being Ben Grimm, the Thing. He's the cousin guy.
You're telling me so many names that I don't know. I know what the thing is.
He is cousin from the bear and the guy from Andor.
That's right, because I saw Alden make a tweet about the little droid you saw the picture that they put, and he said that should be voiced by Maddie Matheson, and I was like,
I've seen a lot of people. I don't know that droid or what it's supposed to sound like, but I've seen a lot of fun suggestions for it. Maddie Matheson was one. Jason Mantzoukas was one. I think Glenn Howerton. People are just throwing a lot of fun voices out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like that the fact that Pedro Pascal, excuse me, was gonna be in that movie, that I feel like that was rumored for a long time. So I just kind of assumed that that was truth, and the announcement was like, okay, yay.
I'm definitely interested in Fantastic Four. Like, I don't know that much about them, but I know that they're a big deal to the Marvel fandom.
Yeah. Bork. Sorry about the Borks in the background. Hilo's been okay today. He hasn't been as...
He was pretty chill during the Q&A.
Yeah. When we were filming our Dark Disciple video, he was not having it. But now he's kind of like, okay, come play with me now. But he'll fall asleep somewhere while we're doing this. Did you guys do anything fun for Valentine's Day? We cooked steaks and watched Love is Blind. And we watched...
And Young Jedi Adventures.
Young Jedi Adventures. Can't forget that.
We have 2 more episodes left of that to finish up. So we'll probably finish that and then finish what we have of Love is Blind so far tonight.
Yeah. MC Lego Boy says, I did nothing and watched Young Jedi. Well, that's not nothing.
Yeah, that is something.
We were watching it too, and it was super cute. Caleb Diaz says, I had a hot date with my dentist. Real intimate, LOL. Dental hygiene is important, I guess. But let's get into our first super chat of the night here from Eloasti. Who would win in a bikini mud wrestling match at the beach? Alex Damon or Andrew DeMolanta? So there's a lot of layers to this. You're in bikinis, and it's mud wrestling at the beach. Now, is there sand in the mud? Or is the mud sand mud?
It could be like a lake beach. Might not be a sandy beach. It could be like Lake Lanier.
Yeah, that is something fun to think about. I'm picturing it now, and I'm wondering who would win.
I think I could take him because I've been in a bikini before.
Yeah,
so I'm not going to be all in my head about it. Andrew, I don't know if Andrew's worn a bikini or not. Maybe he has, but I think he's going to be adjusting to that alone.
Yeah,
and so I'll be able to take him.
Wrestling wise, yeah, you might be able to take. I know he does some sort of. I want to say it's karate. I could be wrong.
Well, he might kick my ass then.
So that he's got that going for him, but you've got a little bit more size than him. So maybe if it's just straight on wrestling, yeah, I don't know. I think it would be a pretty even fight.
The only way we know how to fight is with our trivia.
With your words.
Yeah. Where's this one piece?
And then Dean the Machine has the next super chat here. What Disney era projects do you think Lucas has watched? He visits
George Lucas.
sets a lot, but I wonder what he's actually watched / enjoyed. I'd love to know what he thought of Andor or Mandalorian. Ooh, I hope he watched Andor.
I think he's seen all the movies. I believe he's been invited to all the premieres, and I know he's seen Force Awakens, Rogue One, Last Jedi. It would shock me if he didn't see Solo, because that was in development before they sold it to Disney. So I would expect he's seen all the movies. The Mandalorian, he's been on the set enough. I don't know if he's seen every episode, but I'm sure John and Dave have invited him to come to just watch an episode or two. I can't imagine he hasn't seen any of the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I don't think we've heard anything about him giving his takes on Andor or Tony Gilroy. Maybe Tony Gilroy said something like, we watched an episode together, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I would be so curious to hear his thoughts on a project like Andor or even Bad Batch, really.
I would assume that like anything that Dave was involved in, since he was George's Padawan, he'd probably want to go and offer his support and see Ahsoka. The Bad Batch having such a direct connection to the Clone Wars, I could see him and like building off of things that they didn't get to do in the Clone Wars.
Yeah. Jack the Seven says Lucas is an avid young Jedi adventures enjoyer.
Wouldn't surprise me.
He's probably got grandkids, and I would be delighted to see him watching a show like that with grandkids. That would be adorable. And then also Dean the Machine says, I'd like H. John Benjamin as the FF droid. Oh,
the Fantastic Four droid. Yeah, he's got a great voice.
Who's that?
Bob's Burgers. Bob.
Oh, yeah. That would be perfect. What's up, Darth Nicholas? Been a Biggs mega fan for 5 months. Without giving any spoilers, which The Bad Batch Season 3 episode was your favorite of the first 8? It's hard to say which one was my favorite, because like we had to watch them.
So we watched them one at a time, as in 1, 2, 3, and then we took a break and like I wrote my review. So basically every review that I do is only with the knowledge of the episodes that come out on that day, because I didn't want to be writing and then like, oh well, maybe this will happen in the next episode, and then be right about it.
The reviews are going to be true to having seen them just the one at a time.
I think the first 3, especially 1 and 3, part of it is just like, oh, it feels good to be back, but they also were trying to be careful, but they exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, I was gonna say the premiere being the first 3 episodes, they work so well together, and it's such a roller coaster of emotion between those first 3, but it's a good solid kind of like start and end like to a premiere episode. It feels like one big episode. So those were probably my favorites out of the first 8. I honestly I'm having trouble remembering much about them because I actively tried to just forget what I saw after we finished them.
I think it's just something that, anytime there's a 2-parter, there's a reason for that as well. Like when they're putting out multiple episodes at a time, there's a reason.
Yeah. I hope that is a good enough answer. We can't really say much about them, so.
It's they tell us that like the social embargo is done. And what they mean is like you can't give a full review, but I also don't know what exactly a social embargo means. Because like YouTube is social media, but we can't just go and say everything that's on our minds, and we don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah. Amaranth sent a super chat in for 11:38, which is always appreciated. Thank you. Let's see. I'm struggling with the loss of smell and flavor perception after surgery to remove a brain tumor. Oh. I know anosmia can vary depending on the cause, but I was wondering if you had any tips.
Not really. Unfortunately, I was born without a sense of smell. So I don't have like anything to look back and be like, oh, well, life before back when I could smell, like I don't have that. But I guess, I really like foods that have strong flavors, lots of spice. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that growing up because my parents hate spicy food, but Molly really likes it. So I got to be introduced to spicier and spicier stuff. And like, I crave it, especially when my nose is stopped up, and not that I could smell anyway, but it just something about wanting spicy food when my nose is stuffy.
Yeah, it does suck to have it and then lose it versus you never really having it at all. But spicy food is a good one. I think I'm trying to think of what else. I know sometimes you crave like carbonation.
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of
different carbonated drinks.
I'll crave spicy, sweet, salty. Like all of that is still in my taste buds. I have taste buds, but it's more.
But do they work?
It's more specific flavors, I guess, that I can't really pick apart. But yeah, I crave stuff like that or stuff with good texture.
Mm.
So like carbonation, I guess it's not like a texture thing, but I like bubbles.
Aw. Michaela Moody in the chat said, "Wow, it's nice to hear from another person who's never been able to smell. There are dozens of you." I have a good sense of taste as far as I can tell, and definitely have a relatively low tolerance for spice heat. Your spice tolerance, I think you could improve if you wanted to, but
I think that's just something you train. Yeah. Like I used to not be able to handle spice well, and now I think I'm pretty good at it. Mm. We've done like the hot ones challenge on our own, and I made it. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah. Do you have any preferred textures of food? I know you don't like.
I hate coconut.
Super mushy stuff. You don't like shaved coconut. Do you prefer like crunchy or?
I do prefer crunchy peanut butter to smooth, and I remember people thinking I was weird for that.
We never buy crunchy peanut butter, though.
I don't need it now, but like growing up, everyone else would have like a smooth peanut butter sandwich, and I was the only one with crunchy, and everyone thought that was strange. So yeah, I guess I like crunchy stuff.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of like, candy bars, Snickers, or Crunch bars, something to make it more exciting than just a chocolate bar. Yeah.
LOST has another super chat here. Is Temptation of the Force going to be the sexiest Star Wars project ever? That cover feels steamy.
That Molly said it was what'd you say?
I said it was like
the convention version.
I said that the special edition cover of Temptation of the Force is gonna be the same, except Elzar is just in boxers and Avar is naked but like holding up a bed sheet. They're just like, oops. After reading Dark Disciple, that book was pretty sexy. I don't know how steamy and spicy Temptation of the Force is going to get, but I think it's going to be a lot of sexual tension.
After reading the synopsis, I don't have my phone on me, but we talk about it in the Q&A, and the amount of times that they mention like the star-crossed Jedi and like now unable to deny their feelings, and like 3 or 4 times in the synopsis they talk about their relationship, and I'm like, they're gonna do it.
Yeah, I mean we talk about this in the Q&A coming on Saturday. The Star Wars official Twitter account tweeted about the book and added, "Remember when they held hands though, like all coy like?" And I was like, okay,
I do remember.
They're definitely gonna bone. It's happening. It should happen, and if it doesn't happen, we'll all revolt.
I'm excited to see the chaos that it brings.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that I felt like I was shipping until the end of Eye of Darkness. Like, I liked it in Light of the Jedi, the last chapter or so, maybe it was the epilogue where Elzar says some things to Avar and she's like, we can't. So I kind of thought it was just a one-sided relationship. But now I'm like, oh, it's on.
It's on like Donkey Kong.
It's so on.
My nose is making a weird sound.
You always yell at me when my nose whistles. But...
I'm sorry. Oh, Jane is right. They're going to be spending time on Naboo, the most romantic place in all of Star Wars.
Yeah, come on. I'm also excited because Vernestra is going to be with them. Molly doesn't think that that's going to cause any tension. I kind of think Vernestra is going to be like, what are you two doing?
I don't know. I think because didn't they say that she was asexual? Justina may have hinted at that.
Maybe. It definitely, I remember Reith kind of flirting with her a little bit, and
she was like, calm down, buddy.
Maybe don't.
But if that is true, I wonder if because of that she'd be like, oh, you guys, and like not just kind of like laugh about it and shrug it off. I don't think she's gonna care.
Burry's gonna have a lot to say then. That someone's got to spray him down with a hose. That's all.
Yeah. Let's see. Scotty Heron, thank you for the next super chat. What's your favorite obscure behind-the-scenes Star Wars fact? Mine is that one of the Andor writers spent time at the PDX 2020 protests and talked to lots of protesters, including Robert Evans from the podcast Behind the Bastards. What is PDX?
I don't know most of those words.
PDX 2020. Let me look that up.
Oh, man. That's like a deep cut behind the scenes thing, too. The first thing that popped into my mind was Portland? Just the sand crawler was mistaken for like a military vessel. And someone had like was Algeria, some neighboring country came out to check it out to be like, what is this thing? And they're like, we're just making a movie. They thought it was some experimental tank.
One of my favorite behind the scenes facts is one that we learned years and years ago at trivia, and it was one that it was a trivia question that we got wrong, which doesn't happen often, but I will always remember it because of that. And it's because it's the Return of the Jedi thing about Frank Oz not liking snakes.
Oh, it was Empire Strikes Back, but yeah.
Empire, yeah. So they had a bunch of like real live snakes and reptiles on the set for Dagobah, and Frank Oz is like deathly afraid of snakes and hated them, and he like refused to do the puppet work, and it like set them back by months on production because they were butting heads so much about it. That
I will say, I haven't found confirmation of that story. If anyone in the chat knows or has heard that story before,
well,
because I like after we missed that question, I was like, that's interesting, and then I googled it and I couldn't find. It's
probably in one of those books over there that is from like the 80s and 90s.
Maybe, but I've read them and I can't.
Do you think they made that up?
No, I'm sure he got it from somewhere, but I just want to know where.
You didn't know it, so you are convincing yourself it's not true.
Yep.
Classic.
Impossible.
Well, if that's not true, then I'll have to pick something else. But for now, that's one of my favorite behind-the-scenes facts.
I'm just curious if anyone else has ever heard it.
Chelsea Asp, thank you for the next super chat. Watching the not so newlywed game on a Certain Point of View channel last week was hilarious and got surprisingly spicy. So fun. Can't wait for next year. Oh, thanks for watching. Yeah, that was a really fun show, and we love doing that every year. If you missed it, I am a co-host over on a YouTube channel called A Certain Point of View, and we do happy hour every month, me and Jill. And every year for February, we try to do a newlywed game style show, except this year we called it the Not So Newlywed Game because it was 3 married couples who have been married for a little while, and then one couple who isn't married but is soon to be married. And they were the ones that ended up winning, so
boo.
Yay for them. But it was a good time. And did it get spicy? I don't remember.
It got a little spicy.
We try to keep the questions not too spicy, but it happens.
The questions weren't that bad. Some of the answers were.
Oh yeah, it's like a kind of a drinking show. So the more we had to drink, the more loosey goosey we got. That's just what happens. Let's see. Next super chat's coming from Pobsterlot. I hope I said that right. Tom Henderson said that the upcoming Star Wars first-person shooter from Respawn is something people have been wanting for a long time. Any predictions or hopes?
I don't know who Tom Henderson is. First of all. But
let me Google him.
A lot of people have been wondering if we'd get like a Republic Commando sequel of some kind. So maybe that. Maybe Scorch being in the Bad Batch is like some cross promotion.
Let's see. Who is Tom Henderson?
Someone in the chat.
Owner of Insider Gaming.
Oh, okay. So a gaming journalist.
Sure. I can't find... No, don't do that. Anyways, first-person shooter game. I would guess bounty hunters of some kind. Some kind of bounty hunter game.
I know people have actually been wanting a Republic Commando sequel, so if that's what people have wanted for a while, I don't know.
People just want another Star Wars game, period. What would you want from a first-person shooter?
Republic Commando sounds great. I would want it to be updated a little bit because first-person shooters aren't my favorite thing, but I do like playing them with friends. So if they were to do, instead of a single-player Republic Commando game, you could have the option to play it multiplayer, that would rock. Something like Left 4 Dead, where...
I forgot to turn our other lights on.
What other lights? Oh, those. It's something like Left 4 Dead, where you had 4 people and they each had different abilities, and you worked together as a team to fight your way through whatever. I'd love that.
Did that make us too bright? I can't really tell. I pulled my lights into our filming area over here, so we've got 3 lights in here now to go with our 3 cameras. So if it's too bright, let me know. Oh, I said can't wait for Outlaws this year too. I'm super excited for that game. I'm probably not going to be good at it, but I don't care. I love everything about it so far.
Sounds like that's coming near the end of the year, but they did, I think, on an investor call recently say something like it's gonna be this year.
Yeah. Darth Nicholas has the next 2 super chats here. Thank you, Darth Nicholas. I personally think George Lucas would love Andor since the prison arc was sort of an homage to THX 1138. Yeah. Very true. When Lucas said Star Wars was for children, I think he was only referring to the movies and the Clone Wars, since he was open to exploring a more mature adult take on the universe via the canceled Star Wars underworld.
I think when people hear Star Wars is made for kids, some people get all up in arms, but I think he means like from 5 years to like 25 years. I know people don't like being called kids when they're that age, but like our brains, I don't know, my therapist told me this once, that our brains continue to develop until you are 25. So like you're still forming, you're still learning. I mean, everyone's always still learning, but I feel like Star Wars still teaches me things. So I don't know, that people get so worked up about the Star Wars is for kids thing sometimes.
Yeah.
He did say Star Wars is for 12-year-olds once, so that's a little more cut and dry.
Well, I think he means that, like, he made it to appeal to everyone, including 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
And if he had it his way to make something more adult, it would look a little different.
But I agree. I think it sounds like Star Wars Underworld would have been a pretty different take on the universe.
Yeah. Dean the Machine has another super chat here. Has there ever been a Hutt Jedi or Sith? There was a Hutt Jedi in Legends, and he was all buff.
No, you keep getting him confused with Gracchus. Easy mistake, but
was the Hutt Jedi not buff?
No. Beldorion.
Regular Hutt?
Yeah.
Kind of fat and he's just slithered around.
Yep.
Okay.
But yeah, Beldorion the Hutt was in Legends. Gracchus is kind of like a Jedi enthusiast. He collected lightsabers and stuff, but he was not a Jedi. Sith, I don't think we've seen one.
I pulled the table in really far, so we're like stuck in this corner.
How that goes? Something broke off.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
We don't have a lot of room to move around back here.
I might need your phone.
For the light?
Yeah.
Darth Nicholas has another super chat here. Do you think Sev is still alive? Minor spoiler, but his fate wasn't even resolved in the Republic Commando novels.
Turn off. My assumption was no, but if they're gonna make a new, like if they make Imperial Commando instead of Republic Commando, then they might bring him back.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we haven't seen anything for him in the Bad Batch, so maybe what happened in the game is not what happened in the Clone Wars.
Yeah. Oh, we get to move on to a new booklet?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. This thing's coming together. I don't know what... Were we talking about putting this one up here in the middle?
I might swap it. Well, maybe, because it has a stand that can kind of go across the corner.
Yeah. We have the Razor Crest up here. You can barely see it, but it's kind of sitting rather precariously on a book that I put in between these two shelves. But hey, if that one breaks, that just makes it more screen accurate. NC Lego Boy said, we're in the end game now, book 4.
Last 25%.
Speaking of books, I've finally started Escape from Valo, and I am not that far into it yet, but I think it's really cute. And so far, Ram is really cute. I love his character. But I've heard a lot of people say good things about the book.
Ram is one of my favorites. for like the middle grade books, and he's really great in the young adult Midnight Horizon, but I like his vibe a lot. Trying and failing to be serious.
Yeah. Ann Porkins asked, does the Venator weigh 600 pounds? It looks like a beefy boy.
It actually is. Hopefully it starts to level out as we put more on it, but when I went to pick it up, this part is really heavy compared to that, and I kind of fumbled it while I was moving it back onto the table.
That's no good.
It's fine. I didn't drop it.
Your humble servant, thank you for the next super chat. Hey guys, whilst I'm still not keen on the choices made about Rey's family and Tross, SOTS, what's that?
Shadow of the Sith.
Yes. Shadow of the Sith did a good job expanding the story, excluding the Clone Wars. What are your favorite examples of Star Wars building on a story? I mean, Ventress being in the Bad Batch is definitely one of them, especially having just read Dark Disciple. I'm excited to get more of her.
Andor and Rogue One is pretty great. But
Rogue One is a good one.
Well, I was saying Andor expanding on Rogue One, but yeah, just Rogue One expanding on all of Star Wars.
Yeah. I really enjoy the Certain Point of View books. I think it's super fun to be able to read through those, find a Glup Shido or find, a random background character and read a story from their point of view is really neat. Bad Batch in general, yeah, that's a good one.
It's like just about every Star Wars story now is some sort of expansion on something in the past.
Flashbacks in the Book of Boba Fett were good.
I did. We were recording some podcasts with Force Center. The first one should come out tomorrow, but we got to talking about Book of Boba Fett, and I was like, man, I don't think we watched it since it was on. And there are some episodes and scenes that I want to revisit, but that second episode where he makes his gaffy stick and goes on like his vision quest and stuff, I love that episode.
That one gets really trippy, and I love when Star Wars is trippy. I'm trying to think of what else. I guess Ahsoka for like continuing some of the Rebels story.
Yeah.
Gesundheit.
You gave that kind of hello there energy. Gesundheit.
Gesundheit. Ice, thank you for the next super chat. Finally did something I've wanted to do for years and dived into Star Wars books for the first time. Read the first few chapters of Heir to the Empire on my flight home, and so far I'm loving it.
That's awesome.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
I have such fond memories of reading Heir to the Empire. I've talked about like my friend who grew up down the street from me, but we had like a Star Wars book club where every night before getting off the bus we'd be like, okay, we're gonna read the next 5 chapters, right? Yeah. And then the next morning we'd get on the bus and talk about those 5 chapters. And it was super fun.
Oh, a little book club.
Yep.
Little school bus book club. I always slept on the bus. I was either sleeping or listening to music on my tape player or my Walkman.
You were just too cool.
I was too cool for school and too cool for the bus, for sure. Just sleepy and not wanting to talk to anybody. Dean the Machine, thank you for another super chat. Since no Hut, will we see a canon chonky Jedi? I'm sure there are like some chonky Jedi.
The biggest Jedi.
It's like, it's not real.
My first thought was Pong Krell, but he is not chonky.
Yeah, there aren't a whole lot of like chonky Jedi. They're just beefy. What's the difference? I don't know. Like they're stout.
An absolute unit.
Yeah.
Even Peel's got like kind of a short, stout, squat. Like he seems real solid.
Yeah. Yeah, they all seem more solid than chonky. When I think of someone or something being chonky, I just think of fat cats.
That's yeah. I think of our friend. I think I had a. That's random. I think I had a dream about our friend's fat cat the other night.
Athena?
Yeah, of course. I don't know why, but she was there.
Cute.
That just popped into my head randomly. My nose is starting to run, and it's your fault.
Why?
Because you had the whistle nose, and now my nose was like, oh, it's cool to make noise.
What? That's not how that works.
Uh-huh. That's how my nose works.
Tim Wilcock, thank you for the next super chat. I recently played through Vader Immortal. Is any of that story canon? I really dig the Korvax saber and the history of Mustafar they told.
Yep. It's all canon.
It's all canon.
I really like that story too. The only thing that I struggled with on it was actually wearing the quest. I had like the original one, and it was uncomfortable on my face. But I was like, I gotta get through this.
It made my face real sweaty. It made every part of me real sweaty, but like especially my face. And I have a tiny face, so I had to like strap everything in really, really tight, and it was just uncomfortable. Hi,
but the
Sean
story
Sully.
was cool. Hey, Sean.
Sean says, love the new setup. Thank you. Lightspeed Bear, thanks for the super chat. Hey guys, hope you're well. Which starfighter would you choose to fly around the galaxy in? Poe's Black T-70 or Mando's modified N1? Hashtag Bear Squadron.
I think I'd go the N1.
Yeah, it's super small. I guess it doesn't have much of a difference as far as the room on the inside between the T-70 and the N1, but the N1 being like all souped up and basically a space hot rod, I think I'd have to go with that one. Plus it's got a little compartment for Grogu.
Yeah.
If he comes with it, 100% I'm going that.
I love the X-Wing design, but hold on. Oh, thank goodness.
The floor and the walls just switched.
Yep, be very careful. Yeah, I love the X-Wing design is my favorite ship design, I think, in Star Wars. But if I got to own one, I'd go with the souped up N1.
Yeah. It's got the button in it that's like Fast and Furious time. Pew!
Hit the nose.
You gotta say it like, hit the nose. Ice, thank you for the next super chat. I also read the first chapter of Light of the Jedi, and oh man, that opening didn't pull any punches. Looking forward to catching up on the High Republic. I feel like I've taken my first steps into a larger world. Yay!
Yeah, welcome. The books are great. I'm always a champion for Star Wars books because it was such a part of my fandom experience growing up, because I got into Star Wars in the early to mid 90s when we knew the prequels were going to come eventually, but in the meantime I had nothing. We had Dark Forces, which was great, the video game, and I had books, and I was like, I just wanted to see what continued to happen to these characters, and I ate it all up.
You were like a vacuum.
Yeah.
Yeah, that beginning of Light of the Jedi is so good.
I remember
so insane and tragic.
I remember starting that book, and it was like pretty late at night, but we got it, and I was like, well, I definitely am excited to start. I'll read a couple chapters, and then I stayed up way too late and read a third of the book. And I was like, well, this is great.
That's always a good sign if
Yeah.
that happens and reading a book. I was on like such a good, what's it called, routine, and I was like super into the first two ACOTAR books, and then I was like, let me take a break so I don't get too tired of these books too fast. And then when I started Dark Disciple, I was just like falling asleep 10 pages in. Not that it wasn't a great read, it was good, but I was kind of like only reading at night, and I don't know, maybe it's just sometimes when I read Star Wars, I feel like I'm just reading it to get it over with.
Well, I mean, we were reading it for the Bad Batch. It wasn't, there was a reason beyond just, I want to read this.
Yeah. So I am going to try to finish Escape from Valo, and then maybe go back to my ACOTAR books. Darth Nicholas has another super chat. Thank you. Ventress somehow surviving also feels like a nod to both the 2003 Clone Wars and Legends Dark Horse Clone Wars comics, where she supposedly died 3 times. What?
I don't know if it was an intentional nod. I think that's just what happens sometimes in Star Wars. Like,
I think she's like a cat and has 9 lives.
I mean, yeah, why not?
So that makes the most sense to me. Hi, buddy.
Warlord Zinj had a couple different deaths in Star Wars Legends. Like, it was just a thing that happened.
Yeah. If anyone dies on Dathomir, just assume, or I guess she didn't die on Dathomir, but they took her to Dathomir and put her in a black pool with green mist. So no one's ever really gone if they're a Night Sister. And Porkins, thanks for the super chat. Happy World Hippo Day. Aw.
Man, everything's got a day now.
Is it World Hippo Day? Hippos are so cute, but they are mean. I have seen so many TikToks of them like attacking people.
What TikTok are you on? Hippo Talk?
Yeah. I follow that girl that works at a zoo that is always posting videos of the big cats.
Okay.
Of, like the lions and the tigers, and she's always booping their noses. So I get a lot of like zoo animal videos.
And then occasionally one was like a hippo attack.
Yeah. Yeah. There was one where I saw it was like a safari truck, and they were looking at the hippos, and one just charged
Ooh.
right at the truck, and they had to like take off. And everybody was freaking out. World Hippo Day, February 15th.
Who chooses these days?
Hippos.
Okay, then why is February the
Hippos were
15th
like,
so important to them?
Today's my day. It's to raise awareness about the plight of hippos, which are the most endangered large mammals on the planet.
Mm.
This is now Hippos Explained. I didn't know there was a hippo emoji. That's cute. Keljan, thank you for the next super chat. Do you think there will be a Clone Rebellion series for a sequel of The Bad Batch once it's over? No, I don't think a Clone Rebellion is enough to get its own separate series. I think The Bad Batch is going to wrap all that stuff up for us.
I think there will be a Clone Rebellion, like, or something. I think that the story of clone troopers is going to largely be wrapped up here.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll still have clones running around like Rex and Star Wars Rebels and stuff, but I don't think they're going to do like another sequel animated series.
Probably not. MC Lego Boy says, I love Bad Batch, but I don't think we need another show following clones. That's kind of what this show is already doing. I think I agree. I am looking forward to finding out whatever the next big animated series project is going to be, but I don't think it's going to be clone related. I don't know what it's going to be about, but the animated shows are so good. First, like, Rebels is still some of my favorite Star Wars storytelling, and now Bad Batch, so I'm fully invested in whatever they'll give us for animation.
Yeah, I'm always, like, hoping they'll do something completely different. But I have no idea what, and we probably won't. Oh no, knocked over Biggs.
Oh no.
We probably won't find out until after the Bad Batch is over, and then maybe they'll announce the next project.
It would make perfect sense to announce the next big animation project in Japan.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if they're going to announce another Star Wars Visions, or...
Oh, yeah.
I know James Waugh said that even though Star Wars Visions Volume 2 is not just anime, he's like, Star Wars and anime have a bright future together, so I think there will be something to announce. It's time.
I haven't done a sticker in so long.
Do one of those on that.
Yeah. I'd be down to get like an actual anime show. Like,
sure.
Done from Japanese artists. That would be cool. Scotty Heron has been a member of the Biggs Mega Fans for, 7 months. Thanks, Scotty. Have a brief flight tonight. Gonna craft and watch a Star Wars show I've seen before as I fly. What should I download and watch?
Andor.
Andor.
How long is the flight?
Good.
I mean, that's
Andor.
That's an important part of the question, I think.
I was gonna say too, like, I really enjoyed our Kenobi rewatch, and that's just been on my mind recently after reading Dark Disciple. I feel like when Obi-Wan finds out about the path and finds out about Quinlan being part of it, that is more meaningful now, having read Dark Disciple. So if you haven't rewatched it, Kenobi is a good, like, binge watch show.
That was fun to rewatch.
Darth Nicholas has the next 2 super chats. I've noticed many writers prefer having clones fight other organics in place of or alongside droids, especially in many of the Republic comics and Republic Commando novels. I think it's for that reason that 2 of the best Clone Wars arcs have been clones fighting Umbarans and Mandalorians, respectively.
Yeah, I think the books and the comics were able to, they aren't kids shows, and the Clone Wars certainly has some grown-up elements to it, but I think that they tried to have the clones fighting droids a lot more just to keep the violence down. But yeah, the Umbaran arc and the Siege of Mandalore both hit different.
Ooh, I like this question from Dean the Machine. Thank you for another super chat. Which Buffy villain would make the best Star Wars villain?
Mm-hmm.
And which Battlestar Galactica character would make the best Jedi? Ooh. I think Admiral Adama would make a pretty good Jedi. Maybe Hilo.
I was going to go with Hilo. Hilo's the one that, like, has the unwavering moral compass.
He's kind of boring sometimes, though, because of that.
That doesn't mean he'd be a bad Jedi. I actually was kind of thinking about him when we were reading Dark Disciple, because it's like this whole debate of whether or not it's right to assassinate Count Dooku, and I'm like, I see the argument for it, and they have that argument in Battlestar where they have a chance to wipe out all of the Cylons, and Hilo's like, we can't
That's
commit
genocide. Yeah.
And like, it's very similar. They have the same conversation at the end of Dark Disciple and that episode of Battlestar, where Quinlan doesn't get to assassinate Dooku. He doesn't finish it, and Obi-Wan's like, honestly, he saved us. Like, he saved our soul. And they say the same thing about Hilo, where it's like, that could have ended the war, but what would it have done to us?
Mm-hmm. I like Dante Bay Zero in the chat said Spike for both answers. Honestly, Spike is a good one, because imagine a Sith who had their ability to use the Force taken away.
Ooh. Yeah.
And then imagine a Sith who...
That kind of happens in Tales of the Jedi, the comics. But it was like a Sith Lord who came back to the light. So it would be more interesting to have, like, a Sith who's, like, really pissed off about it.
Yeah. I think that would be cool. I guess you could compare the mayor to Palpatine, political figure.
The mayor is probably my favorite Buffy villain. But my brain also went to Spike or Faith, just for the redemption of it all. And both of them get to find redemption and not die immediately, which is nice.
Yeah. I mean, the first is kind of interesting if you think about the first Sith, the first evil. There's potential there, but there's not a lot. I mean, the first is kind of like not something you can just defeat. It's kind of always there.
Like the dark side.
Yeah.
It is supposed to be kind of like the evil personified, the dark side personified, but...
Mm-hmm. I like the idea of Anya, too, because she kind of starts out as a villain and then becomes one of the good guys, but has moments where she wavers in between good and bad.
She could be like Asajj Ventress.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to seeing Asajj. Just that one line from her in the trailer of like, I wasn't planning on killing you, but you're making me want to. Or I can't remember what the exact line is, but I really like that, where she's like, I'm good now, but I still kind of want to kill you because you're annoying me.
Kelchin has another super chat. Old Republic as an anime TV series? That would be cool.
Yeah. I'm waiting for something Old Republic.
Yeah. It would be interesting if they brought that in first as an animated series or an anime TV series, something like that, because that would be, I think, a good intro for people to be able to say, like, okay, hey, this is the Old Republic. It's an animated show or an anime show. That way, whatever live action project they want to do in the Old Republic doesn't have too much pressure on its back.
Part of me is still expecting them to dive back into it with a new video game, which maybe the KOTOR remake was going to do that, and who knows what is even going on with that now. But
I can hear music from
the high school is...
We live near a high school, and their like football...
You can always hear their pep rallies.
Yeah. Real quick, Martin Barrett asked if we only build the cruiser during Thursday's live shows. Yes.
Yep.
This thing just sits in our way for a week, and we build on it once a week on Thursdays.
We don't really use this area that much until Thursday, and then we like move everything around. We film our Q&A, and then we move it back, and then we do this. But yeah, we build the whole thing on stream.
I will say I'm continuing to fine-tune the set and how we film it for Q&As, but I think today's was probably the best it's looked. We moved the table in a different spot. I added 2 more lights. Changed the lenses up a little bit.
I need to adjust this, just the where I put it. I keep knocking into the microphone, so I apologize if that keeps happening.
Darth Nicholas, thank you so much for another super chat. Since we know that there are clone stormtroopers in the original trilogy era in canon, what are the chances we'll get some Imperial clone content after the Bad Batch Season 3? Is that something that would interest you?
I mean, I think if we got the Imperial Commando video game, then that might count. Like, it seems like the Republic or Clone Commandos are still on the Imperial side, so I think there's a chance to continue their story into that. I'd be okay with taking a clone break after the Bad Batch. But if that's the video game, I think that would be pretty rad.
It would feel like a good kind of bookend to the Bad Batch ending and them being like, okay, here's one more clone related thing. But yeah, otherwise I think I'm ready to move on. Ice, thank you for the super chat. The book reveal on Valentine's Day wasn't even remotely subtle. Hopefully I'll be caught up on Phase 1 by June. To be honest, not a huge shipper, but Shadows of Starlight issue 2 got me shipping Avar and Elzar. Yeah, we talk about this in the Q&A on Saturday.
We talk about that exact thing.
Yeah. We said Eye of Darkness was what really got us shipping the 2 of them.
Right, but I also don't consider myself a big shipper. There are occasional relationships that pop up that I'm like, never mind. Cal and Marin, love them, and I hope there's nothing but happiness in their future. Which
it's
I'm sure,
the perfect example of a bisexual woman and a gamer boy. That's always what it is.
So I love them, and I now Avar and Elzar are also on that list for me.
Kelchin has another super chat. Thank you so much. Do you think that in the era of the new Jedi Order, we'll have another single republic, or do you believe there's a possibility for multiple republics or factions out there? Honestly, I think I like the idea of multiple factions again. I think that could come back.
I mean, it would be different, which I'm always for, just to mix it up. With 15 years in between Episode 9 and the new Jedi Order movie, it could be anything. So I would be fine if they said it's something brand new. I'll also be fine if they're like, the New Republic is still around. They only kind of got messed up for a year. So whatever they decide to do, I'm sure it's for the best of the story that they want to tell. I guess I'm expecting them to just be like, it's still the New Republic. We didn't get to spend a whole lot of time with them anyway, but
yeah,
I would be excited at the prospect of something brand new.
That just feels like something, like multiple factions feels like something George would be into. Ice, thank you for another super chat. Now an actual question. Do we know how many of the Lost have left the Order by the High Republic? I had thought that Elzar and Avar might leave too, but doubt it.
I don't think we know. I also don't know if they... I can't remember if they have the statues yet or not. It's definitely not just the Lost 20. I think they would refer to them as the Lost, but I can't recall if they have gone to the archives and mentioned the statues or not. Because we know of Radaki, he was a Jedi who left and became Darth Krall.
Wait, Radaki?
Yeah, that was his name.
Darth Krall.
Krall.
Okay.
And that was like thousands of years before the High Republic. So maybe they've got a statue of him, or maybe they did the statue thing after the High Republic, like when Kiev leaves.
Interesting.
What was the question? How many have left by then?
Yeah, do we know how many of the Lost have left have left the Order by the High Republic?
I don't think we know that.
And a more important question from Martin Barrett: where on Earth are we going to put the cruiser when it's finished? Well, it's going to go
somewhere up here.
Up here somewhere, and then we're going to move one of these. We've got the Razor Crest, the Star Destroyer, and the Falcon. We'll probably move...
The Falcon stays for sure.
Yeah, we'll probably move either the Razor Crest or the Star Destroyer somewhere to replace with this, but...
I might look into...
Maybe just put it on... We could just put it on the dining room table, because we don't use the dining room table.
Yeah, I mean, that's where one of these is going to have to go. Something's going on the dining room table for sure.
That just becomes the centerpiece forever.
I mean, it's kind of a nice centerpiece. God, sometimes they're like, take all these gray pieces and put them somewhere in this sea of gray. And I'm like, where do they go?
I can't handle all these gray pieces. Let's see. Darth Nicholas sent a super chat that says one of two, so I'll wait for the other one to come in. Excuse me. I don't know why I'm so coffee today. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Darth Nicholas, for the two-part super chat. In Battlefield Twilight Company, there's a stormtrooper, SP-113, who's said to be one of the clone commandos who founded the Stormtrooper Corps. It seems the Bad Batch has referenced that part of the book. Is Battlefront Twilight Company worth the read?
You know, I remember reading it when it came out and thinking it was not what I wanted it to be. But then I read the Rogue One adaptation, and I love the Alphabet Squadron books, and I kind of want to go revisit it because I don't know, like, it's weird that the first Alexander Freed book I was like, I'm not into this, and then the other four I loved. So me from 2015 was not super into it, but me now, I'm like, I really want to give it another shot.
I didn't read that one, but I remember when you got to interview, was it JK? Not JK. What was her name? Janine?
Spinlove?
Spinlove.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She was really cool.
She wrote, I think, the tie-in short story to that.
Did she not write the book?
No, Alexander Freed did.
Who am I? What story am I thinking of?
Well, Janine K. Spinlove wrote a short story that I think tied into Battlefront Twilight Company.
Because I seem to remember maybe she was in the military or something.
She was.
Yeah, okay. I just remember her being really cool.
She was very nice. Met her at Dragon Con and this was before we got media passes and got to ask for actual interviews, and I just asked her if she'd be willing to talk to me, and she said yes, and so did Delilah Dawson. And those were like my first Star Wars interviews, and that was super fun.
Did you just do that in like the hallway?
I emailed them.
No, I mean like the filming.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Delilah Dawson and I just sat down on the floor.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, yeah, they give you like an interview room and stuff, but it's still kind of hit or miss on interviews for that convention. Charles from Accounting has a super chat here. How likely do you think we are to see Avar and Elzar's relationship end in tragedy? And for which one of them? Oh, no.
I think that the chances are high. It's very high. Sorry, but I think that's probably likely.
I could see them ending in tragedy, but if I could see Elzar like sacrificing himself to save her or something like that.
I could too.
Of the two of them, as far as who's dying,
I mean, tragedy doesn't have to mean they both die or one of them dies or...
That's true too. Maybe he turns into a Sith.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Someone's turning into a Sith.
I think the two Sith that exist already are out doing their own thing. I don't think any of the Jedi are going to become Sith. They might fall to the dark side, but I don't think they're just going to be like, I'm a Sith now.
I don't know.
That would be too tragic.
That makes sense, though, for the end of the High Republic storyline, in my opinion. Like, if we are headed towards, like, the idea of the Sith being the key to controlling the Nameless or to avoiding all the trouble that the Nameless have caused, someone's going full dark side.
Full dark side doesn't necessarily mean Sith.
Sure, maybe they die in the process, but
that's too sad. That's my stance on that. Too tragic.
Probably. Christopher Killian, thank you for the super chat. Have you guys seen the How to Train Your Dragon movies? Rediscovering this movie has really helped me out. If you haven't seen it already, you just have to.
We've seen the first two. I think there's a third that we have not seen.
I think they're cute. I mean, they're okay. I know they're making a live action one, which I'm like, please stop doing that. But it might be good. I don't know.
I really liked the first one. I remember that. The second one I remember being pretty sad. Mm-hmm. But I don't remember it as much. I know we've seen the first one a couple times.
I like Toothless.
Everybody loves Toothless.
He's cute. Calm Like a Bomb, thank you for the next super chat. What do you guys think of the X-Men 97 trailer?
I'm interested in it.
Is there a trailer for that?
Yeah, it came out today. Well, first of all, I should say I haven't fully watched it. I saw that it came out. Back when that show was on, it was like one of those things where you just, or at least I, would catch it when I was able to. I liked it, but I wouldn't say that I was able to watch it religiously. So
yeah. It was a show that was kind of... It was like always on when I would go to some of my friends' house, specifically one friend I'm thinking of who had a little brother, and he was always
Casey.
watching it. Yeah.
That's funny.
And so I watched a lot of it secondhand when I was over there, and he would have it on. And, you know, on occasion I'd watch it too, but I was never devoted to following the story.
I had like an X-Men or a Wolverine action figure. I remember one year I specifically asked for a Cyclops action figure. So like I liked the X-Men, but the show itself, I'm like, I don't really remember much about it as a kid. I just remember liking it, and I obviously remember the theme music. Mm-hmm. But I think it's cool that they're bringing it back.
Yeah, I do too.
I do think when Disney Plus first became a thing, I remember watching like one episode of The Mini Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, and one episode of Tailspin, and one episode of Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers. Like, and I think I watched an X-Men and like an old Spider-Man, just all the cartoons that I used to watch growing up. Mm-hmm. Gummy bears.
Gummy bears. Very catchy theme song.
That's what you get when you get John Williams' son to write it.
Dean the Machine, thanks for another super chat. Without worrying about continuity, what would be the Star Wars crossover you think you would enjoy the most? Aliens, Predator, Star Trek, Stargate, Doctor Who, Dune, or GOTG, Guardians of the Galaxy?
Well, Alien and Predator, I feel like, are one and the same. They're basically in the same universe at this point. So we could cheat and lump them both together. Dune would be funny because then you could do the Spider-Man meme of like Luke Skywalker and Paul Atreides pointing at each other just because Star Wars borrowed so many things from Dune.
Careful. That came off.
It doesn't attach.
Oh, okay.
I think it's going to later.
I mean, I think I like the Alien franchise more than Predator. So
I do too.
I might say Aliens. I don't know much about Stargate though.
I've only seen the movie. I never watched any of the Stargate shows. What were the other? Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be fun.
Yeah. Star Trek would just be funny to see those two worlds collide. I think that would be fun for everybody.
That's another... I've talked about the podcast Mission to Zix before, which is mostly like it's a Star Wars audio podcast, improvised comedy thing. Mm-hmm. But in the first half of their last season, they got transported to another galaxy, and it was Star Trek, and it was the funniest thing. I loved that.
Troy Mathis, no message here, just sent a cute little emoji, but thank you for the super chat.
I'm running out of room, just like trying to move this all back and forth.
We got a bigger table and everything, and it didn't matter. Sage Michonne, thank you for the next super chat. I know it's not their story, but I hope we get, quote, this is what the Sith were doing during the Nile conflict, end quote. If not in the books, then maybe the Acolyte?
I think we'll find out at some point. I don't think they're going to be part of the books and comics. I think the writers made like the decision to say, no, this is about a completely different group.
Yeah.
But whether it's the Acolyte or something, like I would love a story of just the Sith being like, did you hear about this Nile thing and these creatures they had? That's wild. Anyway,
wild,
we're over
man.
here on Exegol.
Anyway, we're working on big stuff. Scotty Heron, thank you for another super chat. Pitch for a Tales of the Jedi episode. Idea courtesy of Ice. 2 High Republic era Sith kicking it with their feet up, talking poodoo about the Jedi's handling of the Nile when they eat Mantel mix. We were just talking about it. I think that
I agree.
would be a hilarious episode for them to do. Just like a real short one where they're just like, huh, look at this.
I would not mind if they brought back like Robot Chicken or actually did something along the lines of Star Wars Detours. Like, I like when franchises can take some time and like not be too serious. It doesn't necessarily have to be canon. Like, let's just have some goofy fun. Mm-hmm. My nose is running. It's pretty bad. I'm gonna go blow it.
Gross.
I can't get out of here.
Oh, I thought you were almost done. What was
I
all
am
that?
Almost done. It's like little details, but I gotta go blow my nose.
I have to like look in the camera now to see all these pieces we have left. It's my show now. Dante Bay Zero, thank you for the next super chat. Did you see Solid Bricks Venator mod for the opening dock? Would you tear this one down to do it? I did see that very briefly. I don't think Alex is interested in doing it. It was cool though. I don't know, do you have to like tear this one down to make that adjustment? That would kind of suck. We were talking about the solid bricks.
I'm still adjusting to this. Was that on the camera? I just slammed my head into the Star Destroyer.
I don't know if that was on camera, but you might have been able to see this like, whole thing move.
Oh, like right on the angle too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's fine though. I was more like, that better not have broken. I can handle a cut on the head. I don't want to.
We are kind of crammed in this little space, but
still getting used to it.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm bleeding.
Whoops. We'll have to go back and watch the footage from that if it was on camera. What was I talking about? Oh, the Solid Bricks Venator mod.
Oh yeah, with the hanger. It's pretty sick.
They asked if we would tear this one down to do it. I don't know how many adjustments we'd have to make.
Yeah, I should watch the rest of the video and see like how it actually works. But I'm probably just gonna build it and be done with it.
I think that's a good idea. Amaranth said first blood. So we're getting kind of close to the end here, but I was going to say before I forget, there's no LEGO stream next week, right?
True.
Because we'll be here Wednesday to cover the Bad Batch premiere, but then he's going out of town.
It's my friend's bachelor party, so I'm going to be gone. You can stream. You can do whatever you want.
I don't want to mess this up.
You don't have to do this.
I guess, yeah, I've got a couple other small Lego sets I could do.
You could do whatever you want.
I'm sure I'll be editing.
Oh, gosh. Gotta make guns now. That's what all these little pieces are for.
Oh, I see. Oh, MC Lego Boy, we will be here for the Clone Zone.
Yeah.
We'll be here streaming live on Wednesday to talk about Bad Batch. Just no Lego stream on Thursday.
Clone Zone still happening.
What's up, Scotty Holiday? How's editing going, by the way, with the weekly Q&A on multiple cameras? It's actually okay. I was kind of struggling a little bit doing the first one, but now I've gotten into a little bit more of a groove with it, and it's not that much harder than what I put myself through normally. I should learn how to edit a little bit more streamlined and use hotkeys and stuff, but I'm stubborn and I don't want to, so I'm just gonna do it my way, and my way takes like all day, and that's okay.
I tried to tell her the hotkeys once and she yelled at me.
They don't make any sense.
I'm sorry. I didn't write them. I didn't. Actually, you can change the hotkeys now that I think about it.
I'm just not I'm not a hotkey person. I never have been. I use Control V and what is it?
Control C?
Control C for copy and then Control V for paste.
Uh-huh.
That's about the extent of my hotkey.
Control X will cut, Control D will duplicate, Control Z is undo. I've seen her go edit undo like through the menu, and I'm like, I can't with you.
One Up versus CPU says, never tell me the hotkeys. Yeah, it's bad. Like, I wouldn't wish anyone to have to watch me edit anything because I'm sure it would drive them nuts. But look, I get it done.
You get it done and it looks great. That's all that matters. And you do it the way you want to do it.
That's
I'm not going to stop you.
That has always been my prerogative with stuff like that.
I'm always willing to help you, but if you would rather yell at me than use hotkeys, then...
I yelled at you one time and I didn't even yell that loud.
One time. Once.
Oh, Troy, I'm sorry the super chat didn't get your message in there. Just wanted input on Dark Disciple being portrayed in Tales of the Jedi.
I don't think that's going to happen, only because, like, we just reread it ourselves. I was, like, doing research on the original arc and stuff, and I guess they could do it if they wanted the tale to be, like, all of Dark Disciple, but it was an 8-episode arc of the Clone Wars. That's a long story, so I think the fact that they're telling more of Asajj's story in the Bad Batch, and we already have the book, I don't really think they're going to feel the need to tell it again. But, you know, maybe Dave Filoni wants to.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends on what Ventress's stuff in Bad Batch is going to be like for me, I think. But it would be cool to see a little bit of Ventress and Quinlan from Dark Disciple reimagined in Tales of the Jedi.
It would be fun to revisit it. I definitely wouldn't, like, write it off. It does seem like Tales of the Jedi, especially season 1, it was like all the Dooku stuff was new for everyone. Mm-hmm. But the Ahsoka stuff did seem like it was serving a little bit of an extra purpose of, hey, here's a really easy introduction to Ahsoka for people who maybe don't want to watch all of the Clone Wars but want to be ready for the series.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I am excited for that to come back, though. Whatever they decide to do, I really liked getting Tales of the Jedi, like just little snippets of stuff.
Yeah, I wonder when that's coming out.
I don't know. It'd be cool if they did something, like they announced that right after Bad Batch ends. Although that's kind of when we were hoping that they would talk about Acolyte coming out, but...
Yeah, like, I'm hoping for a May 4th Acolyte trailer drop.
Yeah. So maybe after Acolyte. Maybe August, September. Charles from Accounting, thank you for another super chat. Would it be easier for a Darksider to combat a Nameless? In the High Republic books, Creighton's son is described as a rabid/angry animal when resisting one. We definitely cover this in the Q&A on Saturday.
This is a question that comes up a lot, but, like, would a Sith be able to combat them better? Well, we know that Darksiders can be affected by the Nameless because we saw a Sorcerer of Tuned get affected by one during the Battle of Jeddah. But I think Aslan Rel and his story might start to point the way towards how to better combat them, and I do think it's probably going to be based on, like, controlling your fear or maybe giving into it. I don't know what his deal is, but George Mann said that his next book, Tears of the Nameless, was... I asked him to describe it in 3 words, and he said Wreath, Aslan, and fear. So I think we're going to explore exactly that question.
Yeah. I think there's a good argument for either side, whether or not the Sith have it easier or the same when it comes to the Nameless, but I don't. With Aslan coming into the picture, I think something about the dark side has to do with the Nameless and figuring out how to conquer them. Ooh, I like that with the little stripes.
We've got our first bit of coverage done.
Yay! Cute.
I think my head's still okay.
Oh.
Nothing's leaking out of me yet.
Ew. Might have a bump there. Dean the Machine, thanks for another super chat. Who would you love to have, quote, somehow X returned in the Rey or Mando Grogu movie? Somehow X returned.
Well, my first preference is always going to be, like, let's let dead characters stay dead.
Somehow the Razor Crest returned.
Phasma.
That would be cool.
I remember, I mean, this was a lesson learned, but I remember how hyped up I was reading the Phasma book and the comic and being psyched to see her in The Last Jedi. Be like, God, they're building her up to be such a badass. And then she was in 3 scenes and then fell through the floor. And I was like, come on. So I wouldn't mind seeing a little more Phasma.
That would be really cool. I'm trying to think of who else. In the Rey movie or Mando Grogu movie. I mean, Ben Solo. Justice for Ben. Honestly, yeah, that would be my pick.
They've shown him as a Force ghost in the Lego
yeah
summer vacation thing. So
even if he comes back as a Force ghost,
yeah,
that would be awesome.
I'm down for that.
Lord Hosk, thanks for the super chat. Sam Witwer, best in Star Wars, BSG, or on the WB? Ooh.
I don't think I've ever seen him in anything on the WB. I know he was in maybe like Arrowverse shows or something.
Oh.
Maybe. I don't know.
I think his voice work in Star Wars is hard to beat.
I think you've got to go Star Wars. You've got
his character Crashdown, was that his name?
Yeah.
And Battlestar was kind of a jerk.
He went from like someone that I really liked in season 1 to then in season 2 I was like, oh, they're giving him like an expanded role. And I'm trying to remember, like, I don't remember how connected we were to Sam Witwer back then, because I don't think we had watched the Clone Wars at that point. So I think I just remembered, I'm like, oh, that guy was in Dexter, and then he was in The Mist. Like, he just kept popping up, and I did know like The Force Unleashed was coming out around that time. So I was like, oh, cool, like, Star Wars guy and Battlestar. So I think that was more my connection to him. But yeah, in season 2, all of a sudden you learn more and more about his character and you're like, oh no.
Oh no. Don't do that.
Yeah. But yeah, you got Starkiller, the Sun, Darth Maul, Palpatine. Like, his voice work is crazy.
Yeah. Good stuff. I think we're all caught up on super chats. I think you're all caught up on all the Lego bags. So I think that's going to do it for us tonight. We're going to go make some dinner and watch more Love is Blind.
And Young Jedi Adventures. I want to finish Young Jedi Adventures
One
too.
for each
we have
of
two
us.
episodes. We have 2 episodes for each of them.
Yeah.
3 hours total worth of stuff to watch.
Oh boy. Well, we should go get started on that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and thanks to everyone who sent in super chats. We really enjoy hearing y'all's questions and talking about all the fun stuff. So we got a lot of good questions this week. No Lego stream next week, but we will be live Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern, talking about the 3-episode Bad Batch premiere.
And we're going to have Keith and Kerwin from Father Son Galaxy on. They were our guest for the season 2 premiere of the Bad Batch. And just I love hearing Keith talk about Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
And it's nice to get a young person's perspective.
Yes.
Kerwin also has great opinions and ideas, but
but everyone's here for what Keith has to say, because he has some
he's a smart kid.
Yeah, he's got some really smart thoughts about the show and the themes and everything. So, anywho, hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll catch you guys next week.